This is an art collage novel video. I made this series so you guys can experience the story faster. The video will focus on the character's psychology, the images are for illustration purposes only. Is this saber light and martial intent the power of the corpse puppet saber's previous owner? It's been countless years, but the martial intent has not been extinguished. Yunxiao was taken aback, but his eyes were ablaze with flames of war. He was shocked by the magnificence of the peerless expert who had passed through countless years, and his blood was boiling. Don't be so pretentious, just hide. If you don't dodge this, you'll be finished. The demonic dragon's lazy voice sounded. A gleam flickered in Yunxiao's eyes, which became fierce under the saber light, but it eventually disappeared and returned to calmness. I really miss the days when I fought with the peerless powerhouses. Now, I've been hiding all day. Even if I encounter a few country bumpkin martial sovereigns, I have to hide and scheme. The demon dragon snorted. It's all your fault. Restrain yourself and find a place to hide, or go to Yanwu to cultivate. When you return to the peak of the martial emperor realm, you might not even be interested in these useless people and sects. If that's the case, am I still myself? Yunxiao sneered. I'm not the same. His conversation with the demonic dragon ended in that instant. His entire figure suddenly disappeared on the spot and he went into hiding. In the end, the saber strike was only condensed from the martial intent branded in the corpse puppet saber's memory. It did not have the power of rules that could seal the sky and lock the earth like the Emperor Qi of the Nine Heavens, so it could not stop Yunxiao's teleportation at all. Yu Qijin and Huayin, on the other hand, were in a terrible state. Their faces turned pale as they felt the trembling and fear in the depths of their souls under this blade. Without any time to think, the two of them exploded out with all their strength at the first moment. The golden shimmering blade light and the extraordinary flames gathered together and rushed into the sky to resist the unparalleled blade qi. Boom boom boom. The blade light and the power of the flame held on for a moment under the blade light before collapsing like a collapsed building. The two of them, despite joining forces, were still no match for the zombie's blade and were shaken off by the huge qi force. Like leaves in the wind, they were swept away by the airflow. Pfft. The two of them were sent flying far away, and they spat out a large mouthful of blood, their eyes filled with panic. Yunxiao's figure gradually appeared in the air. Feeling the shockwave in the air after the saber beam passed, he looked down with a yearning expression. At the moment, the giant corpse puppet was lying in a rock, which had cracked under the great force just now, and a strange force emerged from it. A small stream of water trickled through the cracked mountain rocks, and green moss grew at a speed visible to the naked eye. Wherever the spring water passed, life was exuberant, and the dilapidated and dead garden began to recover its vitality. The great corpse puppet's dozen limbs were soaked in the spring water and paddled continuously, looking very happy. Yunxiao's pupils gradually widened as he said in surprise, "What a powerful life force. Could this be the water essence I've been looking for?" "Yes, that's very likely," the demonic dragon said. This garden was truly extravagant. Not only were there so many exceptional spiritual herbs, but there was also such a divine object to irrigate it. It's obvious what a magnificent scene it was back then, but now it's abandoned in the corner of the mountains. How sad. Yunxiao's heart jolted as he asked in surprise, if this water contains such a strong aura of life, do you think the corpse puppet saber has been soaked in this water for too long, thus producing life? That's possible, the demon dragon was stunned for a moment. Now that the corpse puppet is guarding this place, if you want to get water, you'll have to deal with it first. Also, this water hasn't died down after so many years, so I don't think these trickles of water contain its essence, so it'll take a lot of effort to collect it. And, no matter what, I'll just give up after finding it. I'll first think of a way to deal with this corpse puppet. Yunxiao looked in two directions. Yu Qijin and Huayin had been seriously injured, and their weapons had been destroyed. It seemed that it was difficult to count on them to fight, but he still smiled and said, "The two of you, this spring water doesn't seem to be ordinary. Does anyone have the intention to collect it?" Huiyin's eyes were filled with disappointment as she said, "I cultivate fire-type cultivation techniques, so this water is useless to me." However, I can exchange it for some good things. Now that the corpse puppet seems to be enjoying itself in the water, it's a good time for us to leave. If we miss it, it'll be difficult to leave again. She couldn't decide whether to stay or leave. She wasn't sure if she could stay, but she was unwilling to leave. Yuchi-jin was also in a dilemma. His 8th grade battle saber was broken, and his heart ached. If he couldn't get anything, it would be a huge loss. At this moment, the spring was flowing out, and the whole garden was covered with green moss. All kinds of nameless wildflowers bloomed, as if spring had come and everything was waking up. Could this be the water source? The shock in Yuchi-jin's eyes became more and more intense. His expression became firm as he said firmly, "The value of this thing is hard to estimate. If you die, then you die. If you risk it once, you don't have to worry about profound-level weapons and medicinal pills for the rest of your life." A black light flashed in his hand, and a long black whip appeared. There were spots on it, and it was actually refined from a complete long snake. It was unsealed under the seal, and it swam in the air as if it were alive, biting at the large corpse puppet. Clang. The crisp sound of an unsheathing suddenly came from the corpse puppet's body. Without any visible movement, the saber ray rose, and the long snake whip trembled violently and quickly retracted. Yuchi-jin's expression changed slightly as he said in fear, "This insect's strength seems to have become stronger under the nourishment of this spring water. There is no point in staying any longer. Let's go." He waved his hand, signaling the two to leave. Hui nodded, but Yunxiao did not move. He stood quietly in the sky, staring at the giant corpse puppet, as if he was thinking of a way to deal with it. Yuchi-jin frowned and said unhappily, "What are you waiting for? Quickly leave with me." He was still thinking about Yunxiao's treasures. It did not matter if he was not strong enough to take the things in the hall, but he could not lose Yunxiao's treasures, especially since he had lost his weapon. He was in urgent need of a handy mystic artifact, or even Yunxiao's head in exchange. Yunxiao raised his head slightly and said with a smile, "You guys go first. I'm definitely going to get this water Kasaya." Yuchi-jin's pupils constricted. The undisguised determination in Yunxiao's eyes shocked him, but he sneered and said, "I won't interfere with what you want to do. Hand over the treasure that the blood god wants and I'll leave immediately." "Yes. I also want to see the mutated fire I can sense from your body," Huiyin said slowly. Although she had a good impression of Yunxiao, the item was of great importance to her cultivation, so she could not give it up. Yunxiao smiled. "Oh. But I don't have time right now. Why don't the two of you wait outside the hall first, and I'll discuss it with you after I take out this water." Yuchi-jin's face darkened and he sneered, "Don't tell me you've been scared silly by this giant corpse puppet? You're actually trying to negotiate with us? It seems like you won't know why the flowers are so red if I don't teach you a lesson." He laughed cruelly. He raised his hand and formed a seal in his palm. He looked coldly at Yunxiao, waiting to see his pained expression. Yunxiao's face was still calm as he said with a smile, "Oh? Then may I ask why the flowers are red? I really don't know. Could you please tell me?" Yuchi-jin's face flickered with horror, and the incantation gesture in his hand suddenly changed. When he saw that Yunxiao had no reaction, he kept changing it in shock. After trying more than a dozen incantations in a row, which seemed to have no effect, he finally recognized the unbelievable reality and said in horror, You broke my restriction? When was this? How is this possible?" Huiyin's expression also changed, revealing a shocked expression. The seriousness in her eyes became even more intense, as if she suddenly realized that the young man in front of her was definitely not as simple as they had thought. Yunxiao sighed. "What? Lord Yuchi, are you not feeling well? Why is your expression so ugly, like you've eaten shit? You're looking for death." Yuchi-jin flew into a rage out of humiliation. The long snake whip in his hand was suddenly unsealed, and a huge black snake soared into the air, whipping toward Yunxiao's space. A series of explosions rang out in the air like firecrackers. The Emperor Qi of the Ninth Heaven on the whip froze the world around him, making it impossible for Yunxiao to escape. To his surprise, Yunxiao did not panic. Instead, with a light tap of his finger, a bolt of lightning crackled at the tip of his finger and shot toward the corpse puppet. The speed of the lightning was extremely fast, and it was aimed at the giant corpse puppet's eyes. Bang! The lightning was knocked away by the corpse puppet's saber chi, but it also enraged the corpse puppet. It suddenly transformed into a long saber and soared into the sky, breaking through all the shackles of Emperor Aura and slashing at Yunxiao. Yunxiao chuckled. This was exactly the effect he wanted. As long as the zombie saber was activated, it would break Yuchi Jin's spatial shackles, and his teleportation skill would not be locked. Swish! The long saber cut through Yunxiao's afterimages, but he was nowhere to be seen. The giant corpse puppet crawled madly in the air, its small head constantly shaking from side to side. After searching for Yuchi Jin to no avail, it finally fixed its eyes on Yuchi Jin's long snake and slashed at it in rage. Yuchi Jin's expression changed. "What a cunning brat," he said angrily. "Let's see how long you can hide here." He suddenly put away his long whip and did not dare to fight against the corpse puppet saber. He turned into a golden light and flew out of the hall. Hui Yin was also stunned. She looked at the empty corner of the sky, and her lips moved slightly. Finally, she sighed and also turned into a flame to escape. The great corpse puppet gave chase for a while, and it did not return until it had forced the two out of the hall. Its body trembled violently, and it trembled in the air with even more rage. Yunxiao had already stepped into its most precious spring, and its two tiny eyes turned from green to red in an instant. Its whole body turned into the shape of a long saber again, cutting through the void and coming at him. As soon as Yunxiao stepped into the spring, an indescribable sense of comfort welled up in his heart. It was indeed like a trickle of water, nourishing his heart. With a casual slap, the Divine Realm tablet came out of his palm and transformed into the shape of a door. The surrounding space twisted into it as he tried to put it into the corpse puppet saber. The corpse puppet saber suddenly stopped as if it had sensed something. The saber light grew stronger, and the blade began to spin, sending out beams of saber chi that blasted toward Yunxiao and the Divine Realm tablet. "You have some intelligence." Yunxiao chuckled, and then his body suddenly disappeared. The light on the Divine Realm tablet flowed, and the power of the earth emerged, pressing the entire space to rotate. All the saber lights suddenly changed their direction and slashed around the Divine Realm tablet. Although the corpse puppet saber was powerful, it had a fatal weakness, which was that it could not control the power of space. It slaughtered wildly in the garden and destroyed everything, but it still could not hurt Yunxiao at all. It seems like I can't finish using all this strength. It's a little troublesome to suppress you." Yunxiao kept teleporting and dodging, and he was getting a little impatient. He performed an incantation gesture with both hands, and a powerful artifact essence suddenly burst out of the Divine Realm tablet and scattered in all directions. He suddenly thought that since the corpse puppet saber was a profound level weapon, it might be affected by the pressure of the weapon's accumulation, just like the strict ranking between demonic beasts. He remembered that in the demon land, the situation of Noah's ship when it was born had directly suppressed all the profound level weapons in the illusion set up by the light of the throne. Even during a battle between cultivators, if one could connect with the profound level weapon, when they encountered a higher grade profound level weapon, they would be able to feel the profound level weapon's body tremble slightly. But this kind of living profound level weapon was unknown. After all, no one had ever seen it before. The power of the hidden weapon on the Divine Realm tablet spread out, and the corpse puppet knives that were slashing wildly in the sky suddenly stopped and hummed slightly. They had indeed reacted to the hidden weapon. Yunxiao was overjoyed. He suddenly cast out an incantation gesture, enlarging the Divine Realm tablet more than 10 times and pressing it down like a small mountain. The whole space rumbled. After the corpse puppet saber trembled slightly, it directly turned into a saber light and dodged. The corpse puppet's appearance appeared in the air, staring at the Divine Realm tablet quietly, as if it was afraid. Yunxiao frowned. In the beginning, he had been hiding from the other party, but now, the other party was hiding from him. With the speed of the saber beam of the corpse puppet saber, it was indeed not easy for the Divine Realm tablet to suppress it. He pondered for a moment and opened the heaven's eye in the heart of his brows. The sound of a bell was emitted from his forehead. The dynasty bell flew out in a flash of golden light. The sound of the bell was ancient and melodious. It rang in the garden, and the sound waves were everywhere. Clang. Clang. Although the sound wave had spread out along with the dynasty bell's level 9 artifact aura, the corpse puppet saber did not have much of a reaction even though it moved slightly. It seemed that it was in existence on the same level as the dynasty bell. Yunxiao cast a few incantations into the bell, which immediately grew as huge as the sky and covered the sky. The divine realm tablet turned into a gate, guarding the entrance of the garden so that the corpse puppet saber had nowhere to hide. The corpse puppet saber was running around in the garden anxiously, but it didn't dare to rush to the only exit, the place guarded by the divine realm tablet. In the end, the big bell fell and directly covered it. Bang. Then, a series of rumbling sounds rang out as the zombie saber slashed randomly inside. Every time the saber beam penetrated the bell, it would burst out. At the same time, a powerful vibrato was heard. The sound waves passed through Yunxiao's body, causing his qi and blood to surge, and he found it difficult to control himself. The corpse puppet saber could exert its full power, but Yunxiao's dynasty bell could not. He suddenly threw the divine realm tablet over and suspended it above the dynasty bell. The three forces of territory spread out and suppressed the saber. Only then did the corpse puppet saber slow down, but it still rang a few times from time to time. Yunxiao wanted to try to put the bell and the saber into the divine realm tablet, but he was afraid that the saber would escape with the dynasty bell. Helplessly, he thought for a moment, then took out 3 northern heaven cold star swords again, forming a sword diagram and suppressing them around the dynasty bell. Only then did he completely suppress the sound of the corpse puppet saber. At this moment, if Yuqi Jin and Huyin were to come in and see so many 9th tier profound armaments, they would definitely feel so unbalanced that they would vomit blood. After that, Yunxiao returned to the spring and began to observe it carefully. The spring water nourished his body, and his meridians and pores immediately opened up. It was an indescribable comfort. The source of this spring water must be the essence of water, but I don't know where it goes. Yunxiao seemed to be afraid of something. Now that all his treasures were used to suppress the corpse puppet saber, he did not dare to take any risks. He separated a starlight soul body with a low cultivation base of a second-tier alchemist and went into the spring water, following the flow to explore. Even if his second-rank soul was destroyed, it would not affect him much. Yunxiao sat in the spring and felt the power. His soul body was moving against the current of the spring water. The underground path was very long and narrow, and it was winding and rugged. After an unknown amount of time, it gradually left the perception of his body. The apparition frowned slightly and continued to move forward. At this moment, in a desolate place, thousands of miles high in the sky, there was a sudden loud explosion. A black hole appeared in the sky. The black hole was only the size of a bowl, but it was constantly emitting all kinds of energy. With it as the center, it spread out, and black cracks tore open the sky. Within the black energy, a green light flashed and mixed into the black energy. It continuously tore open the hole inch by inch. After a while, it finally turned into the size of a door and several rays of light rushed out from it. There were more than 10 people inside the light. 3 of them joined hands to cast a spell the moment they came out. All kinds of strange symbols were sent into the black hole, forming a pattern that emitted a golden light. One of them threw out a green disc, which kept spinning in the air. It was getting bigger, and it was covered with complicated arrays. They opened it one by one and then embedded it into the black hole. The negative energy in the sky finally stabilized. The other 2 heaved a sigh of relief and wiped the sweat from their foreheads. One of them smiled bitterly and said, "It's too dangerous to forcibly break through the air from a long distance. I guess we're the only ones in the world who would dare to do it." The person who threw the jade plate smiled and looked down at the sky. His pupils suddenly shrank and his brows furrowed. He said in a deep voice, "The wrong position? How was that possible? Could it be that something went wrong when he was traveling through the void and we didn't notice it?" The man's face was gradually revealed. It was Mo Huayuan. A biting cold wind blew in the sky, and everyone's long robes fluttered in the wind. There was only silence. One of them frowned and said, "There's no sign of human habitation within 1,000 miles. Even if I'm wrong, I can't be so wrong. Moreover, using the latitude and terrestrial apparatus to transmit a location would not be a problem unless there was a massive fluctuation in the void during the travel. When we came here, the void was calm. It's a rare good situation. How could we be wrong?" "Yes, that's right. This is Songyang City," a white-robed man slowly said. He had his hands behind his back and his face was emotionless. He only looked down indifferently and said softly, "It's just that it's been reduced to ruins, so you can't recognize it, or you don't want to believe it?" Although the man's voice was soft, it clearly reverberated in everyone's heart. No one would doubt this person's words. Mo Huayuan's body trembled, and he almost lost his balance in the air. He took a few steps back and only managed to stabilize himself with the help of the other two alchemists. His face was completely pale as he muttered in a daze, "How is this possible? How can it be destroyed so thoroughly? Not only is there no one left, not even a brick can be seen." He lost control of his emotions and shouted at the man, "Sir Young Master, you must be joking." Everyone's heart trembled, and they felt a chill on their backs. The lord in front of them dared to shout in front of him. He definitely didn't want to live. Duanmuyoyu's expression was calm, and there was not the slightest fluctuation in his emotions. He only said indifferently, "Many a time, a very simple reality, but because one's position is different, one is unwilling to believe it, even doubting it, and deceiving oneself to deny it." Mo Huayuan, you're such a person now. Mo Huayuan's face was as pale as a sheet of paper, and he seemed to want to argue. "You don't have to tell me anything," Duanmuyoyu interrupted calmly. "This won't change the fact that Songyue City has been completely destroyed. I'm also very curious as to what happened here. Is everyone dead?" With that said, his body flickered and he quickly descended. The dozen or so sanctuary contenders looked at each other in dismay and followed closely behind. The other two alchemists came from the spirit department with Mo Huayuan in order to temporarily stabilize the space after the forced teleportation so that they could go back the way they came. The jade plate in the sky was a profound level weapon used to stabilize the spatial tunnel. One of them comforted him, "It's not a bad thing to not see a single person in this city, not even a corpse. I think everyone has left. Who in the world can destroy the Merchant Union? Unless one of these superpowers made a move. Therefore, you can be at ease and wait for the results of Sir Young Master Yu's investigation. With Sir Young Master Yu's ability, he will definitely be able to restore the truth." Mo Huayuan's heart trembled. He knew that this man was speaking the truth, but he could not accept the fact that his brother had died. He could only place his hopes on the Lord's investigation. Mo Huayuan's gaze fell as he gave chase. If they wanted to know whether Mo Xiaochuan was still alive, they could only count on the white figure in front of them. He was ranked 9th on the Heaven and Earth power chart and had the title of Heaven Amplification Duanmuyoyu, a peerless martial sovereign.